Hello friends, today we are making homemade Hot Pockets from Jill Winger's cookbook. Let's get started. For me, the first step is milling my grains to make flour. I use a mock mill and I have hard white wheat. You can also use all-purpose flour, but I like to grind my own grains, so let's do that. It's fine, fluffy, and still warm from being milled. There are 2 large stones in here that go around in circles and break up the grain. The first step in a lot of yeasted recipes is to mix the yeast. I just have a big container of it here. You can get in the packets, although I prefer the big container. I think you get a better product. So you combine the yeast with a warm liquid. So here I have the yeast, warm milk, and warm water. Warm means a little bit warmer than your finger. So I think it's like 100 degrees, but if you stick your finger in it, it should feel slightly warm, but not like you're gonna burn yourself. If your liquid is too hot, you will kill the yeast and then it won't work anymore. I also included the sugar that the recipe calls for because yeast feed on sugar and that will help activate it more quickly. I added all of my wet ingredients to my mixer and now I'm going to start adding my flour. The recipe recommends a half a cup of time, mix in it a little bit, let it absorb, and then you can get a better understanding of the consistency of your dough. One of the things is working with dough, it's not an exact science. So recipes will give you an amount of flour or liquid or whatever, but depending on the temperature, the humidity, what kind of flour you're using, everything absorbs differently. So working with it slowly and letting your mixer do the hard work of kneading, if you have it, hopefully, that will help you get an understanding of what the dough will turn out to be. And I'll show you a couple of tips of when to know your dough is done, when to stop kneading it, and when to let it start rising. My dough has now come together. You could see in the last clip how it started to clean off the sides and it wanted to cling to itself more than it wanted to cling to the bowl, which is how I know it's starting to get ready. But, get you a little closer. If I pick some of this up, you can just rip it apart. There is absolutely no gluten structure in there at all. It's just combined. So now I'm going to run the mixer. I think the recipe says for 6 to 8 minutes to knead the dough until it is a cohesive ball, it's stretchy, it starts to get smooth. I will show you what that looks like. I will also show you the windowpane test, which is how I know that the gluten is developed and it will make a nice, I don't know, springy dough. It'll stay together, it'll rise well, it'll be connected. We're getting closer. So it pulls a little bit, but it still rips. It's a little bit stretchy, but it still rips off, so I need to knead it more. I don't check the time because everyone's mixers and dough is different, so just consider that not ready. So my mixer was kneading and kneading and kneading, and it still was not coming together as a stretchy dough. So I had to add a little bit more water, let it knead some more, and then I was able to get this stretchy dough. It's smooth, it's elastic, much better than what I was getting. It just kept breaking off no matter how long I kneaded it. So the biggest difference between your bread making journey is mine is I've practiced more and I've solved more problems. So you'll learn every set of dough is a little bit different and you'll problem solve along the way and you will figure it out just like I have. So I have this elastic dough now. I want to show you the windowpane test. So take off a chunk of dough here. Okay, the windowpane test is when you can stretch it enough to be able to see light through it and it doesn't rip. So you saw in the beginning, it just ripped right away. So now I can stretch the dough and I'll hold it up to some light. Do this one. And you can see light through it before it rips. That is the windowpane test. There you go. So you can see my finger through the dough. That's how you know the gluten is developed. Gluten is a culinary term for the stretchy substance that forms when wheat is introduced to water. So it's what makes yeast breads rise so nicely, get nice and stretchy, gives you elastic dough like this. I'm gonna let this rise for an hour so it's nice and puffy, and then we'll divide it into 8 parts and make Hot Pockets. You always want to cover your dough while it's rising so that it doesn't get a skin on top of it, but do it loosely with a lid or a towel. This is looking puffy and ready to go. It's been 1 hour. I have my dough divided into 8 sections. I just take a knife and cut it that way. Some people weigh them to be very exact. I don't bother, I just eyeball it. I have hungry kids, husband on the way home. I just need to get to it. So that's what I'm going to do. Make 8 parts. Just start with a clean countertop, and that is the best work surface. I'm just going to form it into a ball. So instead of this log, I'm going to make it sort of into a circle. Then press it flat, and then I will grab my rolling pin and roll it out into a circle so that I can put the filling inside and then fold it over. Third cup of sausage. Pizza sauce or pasta sauce. Third cup of cheese. I put it on half and then pick this up, fold it over, and then I crimp the edges by folding them like this, but better because I can do it with 2 hands, like that, the whole way around. Another angle. This is why we need this to be so stretchy. And I will crimp the edge to make it look nice and make sure none of my filling escapes. Sometimes I'll push air out from it too. There you go. This is what they look like on the tray. They're a little bit too close together, but this is the only tray I have right now. The other tray is already in the oven. Some people put an egg wash on the top. I choose not to because I feel like it's a waste of an egg, but feel free to do that if you'd like. This is what they look like out of the oven. That one exploded. I didn't crimp it well enough. Now for hungry kids. Put them on a cooling rack so the bottoms don't burn from sitting on the pans. Thank you so much for joining me today in my kitchen as I made some yummy Hot Pockets. These were a big hit for dinner. They're also wonderful for future meals. You can let them cool completely, wrap them up, and stick them in the freezer to make a super fast meal or a great meal for a postpartum mama, anything like that. So please follow along for more. I'm sure I will be making more yummy breads and sharing them with you soon.